3 nights ago, you slept badly. 2 nights ago, you slept badly. Last night, you slept badly again. And at some point, maybe recently, maybe years ago, you stopped expecting it to be different. You stopped thinking of sleep as something your body knows how to do. You started thinking of it as something broken, something lost, something that belonged to a younger version of you that isn't coming back. I want to challenge that right now in the next few minutes, because what I've seen over and over again with real people in their 60s and 70s is that the body hasn't forgotten how to sleep. It hasn't lost that ability. What it's lost is access to the specific biological conditions that make sleep possible. And that is a completely different problem, one with a completely different solution. What I'm going to share with you today is a nighttime drink, a specific combination of ingredients. Simple ones, inexpensive ones, things you can find at almost any grocery store that works with your body's own sleep chemistry. Instead of suppressing your nervous system the way most sleep aids do, this isn't melatonin, it isn't Benadryl, it isn't chamomile tea alone. It's a combination that addresses the actual physiological reasons sleep becomes harder after 60. And if you stay with me through the explanation, not just the recipe, but the reason, you'll understand exactly why it works. And understanding why it works is what makes you use it correctly, which is what makes it actually work. Let's start with the real problem. Most people think insomnia after 60 is about the mind, stress, worry, an overactive brain that won't quiet down. And yes, that's part of the picture, but it's downstream of something more fundamental, something happening at the cellular level. After the age of 60, the brain's production of GABA, your primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, can decline by up to 40%. GABA is the entire mechanism by which your brain transitions from wakefulness to rest. Every major pharmaceutical sleep aid on the market, benzodiazepines, Z-drugs like Ambien, works by artificially activating GABA receptors. That's why those medications produce sedation rather than sleep. Real sleep and sedation look similar, but are profoundly different. Real sleep cycles through distinct stages: light sleep, deep sleep, REM. Each stage has a biological job. Memory consolidation happens in REM. Physical repair and immune function happen in deep sleep. When you're sedated, you skip stages. You wake up having technically been unconscious and feeling like you never slept at all. Declining GABA production is part of the problem, but there are two others. The second is melatonin. In younger people, melatonin begins rising around 9 or 10 p.m. In older adults, that rise becomes blunted, delayed. The signal is quieter and starts later, which means the biological window your body creates for itself gets shorter and harder to catch. The third is cortisol, your primary stress hormone. In a healthy cycle, cortisol should be at its lowest point in the evening. But in many adults over 60, that cortisol curve flattens. It doesn't drop as low as it should, which means the body is never fully in a state of biochemical calm when you try to sleep. 3 problems: declining GABA, blunted melatonin, elevated evening cortisol. The drink I'm going to give you addresses all 3. The base of this drink is warm tart cherry juice, Montmorency variety specifically if you can find it, 8 ounces. Warmed gently on the stove or in the microwave until it's the temperature of a warm tea, not boiling, warm. Tart cherries are one of the few natural food sources of melatonin that contains enough to actually affect the body's sleep signaling. A 2012 study found that adults who consume tart cherry juice experience significantly increased melatonin levels and better sleep duration. It also contains tryptophan, the precursor to serotonin, and anthocyanins, which are anti-inflammatory compounds. These reduce the inflammatory signaling that contributes to nighttime cortisol elevation. It works on multiple levels. The second ingredient you're going to add is magnesium glycinate, 300 milligrams in powder form. Magnesium is the most important mineral for nervous system regulation. It binds to GABA receptors and makes them more sensitive. It also suppresses the HPA axis, the system responsible for cortisol production. The body gets the biochemical green light to rest. The problem is that magnesium deficiency is extraordinarily common, estimated at over 50% in adults over 60. The reasons are multiple: reduced absorption in the aging gut, medications that deplete it, and diets lower in nuts and seeds. The glycinate form specifically is important. It's bound to glycine, an amino acid that has its own calming effect on neural activity. The third ingredient is 1 teaspoon of raw honey. It plays a specific supporting role. The fructose prompts the liver to store glycogen, a slow-burning fuel reserve that keeps blood sugar stable through the night. One of the most common causes of that 2 a.m. awakening is a mild blood sugar drop triggering cortisol. Honey prevents that. The fourth and final ingredient is half a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder, or the contents of 1 capsule. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb. Studies found that it significantly improves sleep quality and morning alertness. It reduces the sensitivity of stress response pathways, meaning your brain is less likely to wake from minor overnight stimuli. The full drink, 8 ounces warm tart cherry juice, magnesium glycinate, honey, and ashwagandha. Stir and drink 30-45 minutes before sleep. The taste is earthy. Most find it pleasant, especially with a small amount of cinnamon. It's about setting the expectation. The first night, you may notice very little. That's normal. It takes time for magnesium to reach optimal cellular levels. In the first week, most notice something subtle. By the third week, the pattern becomes clearer. Sleep onset shortens. I worked with a 71-year-old man who had been dealing with severe sleep fragmentation for 6 years. He was exhausted in a way that slows everything down. He said going to bed had felt like going into battle. At the end of month 2, he was sleeping through most nights. Now he says, it feels like going to rest. A few notes. If you're diabetic, speak with your doctor before adding honey. Check for interactions with ashwagandha. And if you have loud snoring or gasping, get a medical evaluation for sleep apnea. This drink restores chemistry, not physical obstructions. This drink doesn't force sleep. It restores the conditions in which sleep can happen on its own. Give it 3 weeks. If this video gave you something useful, please hit the like button now to help this science-based content reach more people. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Every week, we break down the biology first, then the solution. Practical science for your health. Leave me a comment. How many years have you been dealing with sleep problems? I read every comment. See you next week.